Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. Alberta accelerates its second dose vaccine schedule. Plus, a national group calls on several provinces to slow down pandemic reopening plans. And Canada to pledge up to 100 million vaccine doses to poorer countries, according to a government official.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News.
Thanks for joining us. People's Party Canada leader Maxime Bernier has been arrested in Manitoba in the middle of several planned rallies to protest pandemic lockdowns and vaccination passports. The RCMP says the former federal Conservative cabinet minister was arrested south of Winnipeg this afternoon, a day before he was scheduled to speak at a rally in Winnipeg. He's been charged with exceeding public gathering limits and violating Manitoba's requirement to self-isolate upon entering the province. An RCMP spokesperson says Bernier was arrested because he continues to violate public health orders despite already receiving a ticket. The Blood Tribe has issued a response to a former employee of its wellness center holding a press conference regarding allegations relating to overdose deaths and drug sales in the community. BCN's Naveen Day covered the event on Wednesday afternoon and joins me now in studio with an update to that story. Nav, what's the latest?
Well, Jeanette, Roger Prairie Chicken says that millions of dollars given to the Blood Tribe for detox beds and supports for those dealing with addiction are not being used for their intended purpose. He was joined by members of the community who blame the reserve for what they say is an almost daily occurrence of overdose deaths. And some even accuse the staff of bringing the Spirit Home Detox Center of selling drugs to their patients.
I have a niece that's in there right now. She told me before she went into the detox, I'm going to go to detox. I'm tired of panhandling 5 hours for $2 to get another high. I'm going to go to detox. There's more drugs in there than there is out here.
The Blood Tribe Department of Health released a statement in response to what they call false allegations. They defended the detox center by saying this: Bringing the Spirit Home is a licensed facility that complies with strict regulations to ensure the health and safety of its clients. The facility operates with detailed policies and procedures. If there was any evidence that a staff member or patient was selling drugs in the facility, it would be dealt with immediately. In their statement, they add that they are developing a 75-bed unit to help deal with the drug crisis. Back to you, Jeanette.
Thank you, Naveen. A residential fire in Coaldale has been deemed suspicious. Coaldale and District Emergency Services responded to the blaze at 1151 21 Avenue on June 5th. When crews arrived, the rear deck was fully engulfed in flames and the fire was spreading into the home and roof. The Coaldale Fire Department says they're asking the public for any information they may have regarding the blaze.
This is a known problem house in Coaldale for quite some time. It's essentially been abandoned. There's been people coming and going. There's been some transient population that were actually living there for some time until they were removed by Coaldale Municipal Enforcement and the RCMP, and the house was boarded up. We're also considering that potentially there was some kids, teenagers that were visiting the house. According to some witnesses, they have seen kids around the age of 12 to 14 in that backyard before. So we want to speak with anyone that may have seen some teenagers at that house or leaving the house, specifically during that day and that time.
If you have any photos or videos of or before the fire started, you're asked to email them to firechief@coaldale.ca or call 403-345-1331. Premier Jason Kenney says groups that experience hate crimes in Alberta will be able to apply for grants to pay for security and other safety measures. Kenney says even small measures can save lives in communities targeted because of who they are or how they worship. Grants will be for up to $10,000. The program is to be operational in the months to come. Upgrades to facility infrastructure, including security and monitoring systems, will help protect both people and property from vandalism and other criminal acts.
Notion that they were targeted. by a hateful individual simply because of who they were and of their faith, how they were dressed, because they represented the other, is a brutal reminder to us all of the reality that many Canadians cannot completely take for granted their own security. And this is a national shame. It is one that we must all address.
Jason Kenney says competitors, support staff, and workers coming to the Calgary Stampede from the U.S. have received a federal travel exemption. That means that they'll be exempt from having to quarantine at a government-approved hotel after crossing the border and will instead face a modified quarantine and follow local provincial guidelines. A letter released from Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino says he determined the one-time exemption is in the national interest, particularly due to the importance of sports for Canada's society and economy. The province has announced that they're accelerating the schedule for the second dose of the COVID vaccine. 3.2 million Albertans have now been vaccinated with at least their first dose. That means we're sitting at just over 68%.
Since the 1st of June, we've seen a tremendous uptick in vaccine bookings. Albertans who received their vaccines, their first dose vaccines, back in March or earlier, have now largely booked their second doses. And when we announced the start of second dose bookings for Albertans last week, we said that those vaccinated in the month of April, like myself, would be able to book their next shot starting on June 14th, and that those vaccinated in May could do that on the 28th. But we also said that if incoming supply of vaccines allowed it, we'd open up more second dose bookings faster. So I'm very happy to announce today that we have achieved that, and we are speeding up the second doses for Albertans who received their first shot in the month of April, and we're doing that a week ahead of when we planned.
Premier Jason Kenney says that effective immediately, anyone who's had their first dose in April can now book their second dose through participating pharmacies or by going to albertahealthservices.ca. Premier Jason Kenney recently announced that reopening the province's economy would depend on more Albertans getting vaccinated. So could vaccines have been developed right here in Alberta this whole time, having us avoid lockdowns? Well, according to one Calgary-based company, they've had the ability to do this. They've just lacked government backing.
We are focused on the development of two raw materials. One are called cap analog, and the other one's called plasmid DNA. And cap analog is really kind of one of the essential elements to make messenger RNA. You've heard that's the new buzzword in the world today, is messenger RNA. Yeah, it is. It's new technology. It's disruptive technology, I believe. And it's the basis of a couple of the most well-known vaccines. But we also think that it will be the basis of lots of other applications in the future once the pandemic is gone.
Catch the full interview with Brad Stevens coming up after business news. According to Dr. Dina Hinshaw, Alberta is seeing an 18% increase against the Delta B117 variant. 10 people in Calgary confirmed to have that more infectious variant were fully vaccinated before they contracted the illness. There are currently 2 outbreaks at the Foothills Medical Center. As of Tuesday, 16 patients and 6 staff on 2 separate units had tested positive for the variant. Now the province moved into stage 2 of its reopening plan yesterday, and the government hopes that the province is only weeks away from the next stage, which would see many public health restrictions, including social gathering limits, lifted. However, Dr. Lenora Saxinger, an infectious disease specialist at the University of Alberta, says if the Delta variant starts showing spread within the community, it could mean those plans need to be revisited. A national group of experts is calling on several provinces, including all those in the prairies, to slow down pandemic reopening plans. The prairie plans are tied to COVID-19 vaccination levels for first doses, but Zero COVID Canada says it's deeply concerned by those plans because mounting evidence appears to suggest that a single dose of vaccine is only about 30% effective against the Delta variant. As reported Thursday, Alberta has entered the second phase of lifting COVID-19 restrictions, meaning people can return to the gym and enjoy in-restaurant dining and take in a movie. Hair salons are also allowed to accept walk-in appointments. The changes are exciting for businesses and the public.
We're doing very well. We're busy here today, just like we expected. It's the first day since about 6 months. We've been closed for about 6 months. Employees are very happy. We're happy to come back to work. Very excited, and so are the players coming back, and just a great day.
Today is a sign of better days ahead, plus the news that maybe by the end of this month we might be able to go back to the way things were before. That's very exciting. I mean, our takeout and delivery has gone through the roof since the pandemic began. When you have in-house dining, things go further. There's drinks, there's, let's have dessert, so it's a huge amount of business when people can sit in the restaurant and dine. As we noticed while the patios were open and we had the great weather, it really increased our numbers. Everything that's been really affected by the pandemic is going to experience a blip when things start up again. So I think we're going to be busier than ever when we're allowed to go back to the way we were before the pandemic.
Today is super important. It's been 15 months, and out of the 15 months of this pandemic, we've been closed for 8 fully, and the remaining 6 or 7 months we've been heavily restricted. So not only have we been looking forward to this day, but our members have as well. Yeah, this is our 5th class of the day. It's our 5th full class. We still have 3 remaining classes, and they're all completely full. Like I said, members are ready to get their mental and physical health back, and it just goes to show today.
It's my first class back, and it feels so good, even though I feel a little out of shape. It means everything. It means that there's hope that this whole entire pandemic is going to be behind us, and it gives us reassurance that the places that were here to support us through all the ups and downs are still able to open up again and hopefully thrive.
Well, we're really excited that we're moving forward, for sure. Our industry is a lot reliant on walk-in traffic. I think that there's a lot of businesses in the beauty industry where people are last minute deciding they want to go get something done. And so that's where their bread and butter would come from. And then all of a sudden, you can't do that, people have to call in. It's conditioned people to make reservations. And so from a business standpoint, we kind of like it because it gives us an opportunity to be prepared for the business that's coming in. Also, people are pre-booking their next reservation because they know if they do want to get in, that to have it pre-booked is beneficial for everyone.
The Alberta Union of Provincial Employees is laying the blame for the recent facility and bed closures in rural Alberta at the feet of AHS and Health Minister Tyler Shandro. This has resulted in a shortage of staff and the closure of facilities and beds. The Vice President of AUPE says there hasn't been any closures of facilities in rural southern Alberta yet, but he wouldn't be surprised if there were in the next few months.
I did check online with Alberta Health Services website because they do list them there in the news releases, and none are listed right now. However, all these healthcare workers have been doing this COVID fight now for well over a year, and so a lot of them got to be real close. A lot of them. So I suspect you're probably going to hear more in the coming time ahead here. We do know that the government has gone ahead with its stage 2 reopening and stage 3 come in time for Stampede. But we also know that this new variant, the Delta variant, is affecting people who've already been vaccinated. If we have a 4th wave coming, then folks are going to be pushed beyond what they can tolerate, and you'll start to see a collapse of the system.
Mike Dempsey points to UCP government actions such as tearing up its contract with doctors, announcing the layoff of thousands of healthcare workers, and wage rollbacks for thousands more in the middle of the pandemic. AUPE has filed bad faith bargaining with the Alberta Labour Relations Board to order AHS to bargain with the union. When it comes to growing crops, you need every drop of water you can get. Irrigation researchers at Lethbridge College have been working on optimizing the amount of water needed to grow crops in a variety of fields. And thanks to more than $420,000 in grant money from results-driven agriculture research, the study can continue. Dr. Wilhelmine Apples is the research chair in irrigation science at the college. She explains how she's using radiometer technology to create maps of the water in the soil that is available to plants.
What that technology can do is measure through the plant canopy how much water is present in the top 50, 60 centimeters of the soil. And that's really useful because that amount of water that's there can either be used as a sort of a buffer for plants to take up water when they're growing. And also it can be used as a measure of figuring out whether or not we're irrigating to the right levels and rates that we should in order to enhance plant growth.
Apples adds that funding will also allow her to hire a postdoc student to analyze data as part of the project. Don't forget to put your yellow bag out tomorrow for Target Hunger. Volunteers will be picking up the bags filled with non-perishable food items starting at 10 a.m. The Lethbridge Food Bank and Interfaith Food Bank have a goal of raising 50,000 pounds of food this year. Executive Director of Interfaith Food Bank says they are asking the public to donate non-perishable food items to help those in need.
We're really looking for those non-perishable food items that are good for a food drive, and we always encourage people to give us those healthier options or things that are a little bit more expensive, like pasta sauce or canned meats, canned vegetables, or baby food. We also have the opportunity for people to give online. If they prefer to do that, they can click a link on either food bank website and you can give safely from home. Stocking our shelves is a wonderful thing and a top priority for us, and Target Hunger helps with that. But more than anything else, Target Hunger is one of our community engagement activities that brings awareness to our cause to help others in need.
If your bag does not get picked up, you can drop it off at Safeway, Sobeys, Save on Foods, No Frills Superstore, or Cornerstone Funeral Home. Yesterday's relaunch of the Open for Summer Plan Stage 2 included the reopening of family entertainment venues like Helen Schuler Nature Center. Along with the reopening, 2 new exhibits will be on display for the community to see. A spokesperson from Helen Schuler says they're excited to have people check out the new exhibits after being closed for 6 months.
The Built for the Grasslands is a really neat exhibit looking at the wildlife species in our own backyard. As part of the grassland biome, we have some amazing adapted species that are, perfect for here. And this exhibit takes you through it and looks at some of those adaptations and what makes these species remarkable and how they're able to thrive in this environment. In our community art gallery, we've got a brand new exhibit by Elaine Henderson, a local artist. It's called Landscaping Wilderness. And it is a fantastic mixed media installation that has some really beautiful landscapes to explore and get lost in.
Close to 200 goats will be making their way around the city of Lethbridge this summer. The herd started eating weeds and other invasive species in Alexander Wilderness Park and will then graze their way over to Indian Battle Park later on. As Micah Quinn explains, this is the 3rd year running that the city has put the goats into commission.
The goats feed on the spurge in the area, which is an invasive weed grown in river valleys. The city of Lethbridge does a survey before the goats start grazing each year.
At our first year, levels it was pretty thick down here, kind of like this corner over here, throughout this whole area. The next year, it was a little bit less, but the plants came back really thick because of the grazing pressure on them from the year before. But this year, the numbers have dropped considerably lower than even when we started. So we're seeing an impact that it's working, and that we're stressing the root systems of the plants, so that's exactly what we wanted.
There are no chemicals used by the city for the project, instead choosing an all-natural approach with the goats. It will take them about 10 to 12 days to finish the area in Alexander Wilderness Park.
They're going to go through and they're just going to eat the flowers this time around, which will weaken the plant and it'll force the plant to flower again, which uses up more energy than it wants to. And then we'll come back and they'll eat whatever flowers come back, and they'll eat it further down to the ground, so further stressing the plants. So
Robert Fink started Creekside Goat Company in 2018, and the business has 3 different herds of goats traveling throughout Alberta and Saskatchewan. Leafy Spurge is the company's biggest account, but they also target a lot more.
But we do knapweed, we do thistles, we do a lot of different weeds that people want us to come take care of, that are in rough areas, that are in water zones, on steep hillsides, areas that are hard to get to spray. Then we can come in and fill that niche.
Fink says the wilderness area is a great place to bring the goats in to take care of the weeds.
Some will come through and take the leaves, but mostly they'll go for the seed heads. And that's what we're after. So We could leave them here longer and have them eat all the plant, but we want it to reset and have seeds again.
The project was approved in 2017 as part of the Lethbridge River Valley Parks Master Plan. For Bridge City News, I'm Micah Quinn.
Thank you, Micah. Alberta's finance minister says the province's $1.3 billion investment of taxpayers' money in the now defunct Keystone XL oil pipeline project was a prudent gamble given the potential payoff in profits and jobs. He made the comment about TC Energy's decision to abandon the multi-billion-dollar project after the U.S. canceled it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. We did commit to delivering on pipelines, and Mr. Speaker, we made a calculated decision around investing in the KXL pipeline, a pipeline that would have provided $30 billion of wealth creation for Albertans over the next 20 years. And Mr. Speaker, we've been transparent with the process since the President canceled the permit. We've stated that our exposure was not materially more than $1.3 billion. That remains so today.
The opposition NDP is calling for the United Conservative government to release all details surrounding the contract to confirm the calculated $1.3 billion hit to Alberta's bottom line. The G7 summit is now underway in Cornwall, England, with the leaders expressing hope to end the COVID-19 pandemic by next year. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau met with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson this morning. The UK is expecting leaders to agree to give poorer countries access to 1 billion doses of vaccine through donations and funding. Trudeau is the only leader who has yet to commit to specifics on vaccine sharing, but a Canadian government official speaking on the condition of anonymity says the country will pledge up to 100 million doses. Trudeau says he will wait until the summit is over before providing any details on how Canada will do that. A second wave in the COVID-19 pandemic is rapidly spreading throughout Nepal, with over 34,000 new cases reported in just the last week. The true number may be much higher because virus testing is inadequate across much of the impoverished nation of 30 million people. Samaritan's Purse is responding to Nepal's coronavirus crisis with almost 15 tons of relief supplies.
Well, poised behind me is the DC-8. We're ready for pushback to go to Kathmandu, Nepal, in Asia, where the people are suffering from a tremendous COVID outbreak. We've got 15 tons of cargo loaded on the aircraft, medical supplies, COVID relief supplies for the people of Kathmandu.
We've loaded masks, oxygen concentrators, respirators, tents, and we ask that you pray that this would multiply for those people and help them in this critical time.
Continue to pray for the people of Nepal through this COVID crisis and pray for our ability to support the efforts to give them relief and minister to their hearts. It's a great ministry effort, it's a great outreach effort, and we're just proud to be a part of it.
Well, we had beautiful sunny skies today, and it looks like we've got a lovely and warm weekend ahead of us. After the break, I'll tell you just how warm it's going to get. Keep it right here. And welcome back. It should be a beautiful, lovely weekend ahead of us. Saturday, looking at mainly sunny skies, just a bit of cloud there. Sticking around seasonal values of 21 degrees for Saturday, but a bit windy. We could see wind gusts up to 50 kilometers per hour tomorrow. Into Sunday, this is where the temperature is going to rise significantly. 30 degrees is our high for Sunday. So if you like a hot weather, we're in for a treat there. Sunshine Sunday throughout all of next week. Monday, sunny, 34 degrees, 34 on Tuesday, 28 on Wednesday, and then back down to 25 on Thursday. So definitely after Saturday, getting into the higher than average values for this time of year. Average high, 22 degrees, average low, 8 degrees. 33 was our high temperature in 1965. Wonder if we can beat that record coming up this week. 1 degree was our low temperature back in 1969. Sun rose this morning at 5:24 a.m. and then giving us more than 16 hours of daylight today. Sunset this evening at 9:38 p.m. Should be a nice evening out there on the deck if you want to sit and watch the sunset. Into the west coast, looking at a mix of sun and cloud in Victoria, 20 degrees the high, 20 also in Vancouver, looking at a 60% chance of showers in the morning, clearing up a little bit in the afternoon, 22 in Edmonton and 20 in Calgary. Both of those cities kind of sitting at those seasonal average values as well. Not too much wind either, so so looking to be a pretty decent day in Alberta tomorrow. Saskatchewan looking lovely as well. Sunshine, 22 degrees the high in Saskatoon, 23 for Regina, and all the way up to 26 in Winnipeg. Sunny skies, but about a 50-kilometer-per-hour wind, so should have some gusty winds in Winnipeg tomorrow. Toronto looking at showers clearing up later in the day, 24 the high, 27 in Ottawa. Going to be a beautiful day there. Sunshine, sunny skies also expected in Montreal. 26 degrees is your high if you are in Montreal. Fredericton's high, 24, 20 degrees in Halifax. Look at all these lovely temperatures and all the sunshine. 22 also in Charlottetown, 17 degrees the high in St. John's, Newfoundland. Looking at a frost advisory in effect for this evening. Could get some foggy patches, but that's going to clear up by tomorrow. So there you have it. Have a wonderful weekend. That was your weather forecast. A retired oil patch executive is calling TC Energy's termination of the Keystone XL pipeline a capitulation to the environmental movement. Former TransCanada executive Dennis McConaughey says the death of the project hurts Canada's energy sector, but he says it won't change global carbon emissions because U.S. Gulf Coast refineries will just get heavy oil from other countries that have lower environmental standards. Chris Severson-Baker of the Pembina Institute has a different view, arguing the need for more pipeline capacity will diminish as more action is taken to address climate change and demand for fossil fuels drop. Alberta's government has provided more than $7 million to fund a new electric gas turbine to help power Calgary. And Max is rolling the turbine out at its Crossfield, Alberta generator site. According to a post on Jason Kenney's Facebook page, this will help reduce emissions and operating costs. He says, quote, "The hybridization of the gas turbine is expected to save 45,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year, equivalent to about 10,000 cars. Like a hybrid car, the hybrid turbine will be able to spin down its gas portion during low demand periods instead of running at idle." Now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 88 points to 20,138. The Dow was up 1336 to 34,480. The S&P 500 was up 826 to 4,247. The Nasdaq was up 49 points to 14,069. West Texas Intermediate Oil was up 51 cents to 70.80 US per barrel. Natural gas was up 13 cents to 3.28 US. Gold was down 20.98 to 18.77 US an ounce. Silver was down 7 cents to 27.92 US an ounce. Wheat is at $347 per metric ton. Barley is at $352. Canola is at $739. Corn is at $414 per metric ton. Live cattle were up $1.13 to $118.70. Feeder cattle were up $2.78 to $151.18. Lean hogs were up 23 cents to $122.68. And the Canadian dollar was down to 82.26 US.
Recapping one of our top stories today, the province announced they're accelerating the schedule for the second dose of the COVID vaccine. Premier Jason Kenney says that effective immediately, anyone who had their first dose in April can now book their second dose. 3.2 million Albertans have now been vaccinated with at least their first dose, meaning we're just sitting at over 68% for a 70% target for fully reopening this summer. A special place which almost went up in flames in 2017 is Waterton Lakes National Park. After the break, we speak with the Vice President of Waterton Park Chamber of Commerce to find out how much of the park is back open for the summer. Stay with us. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney announced that reopening the province's economy would depend on more Albertans getting vaccinated. So, wouldn't it move us in the right direction to have vaccines developed here in Canada? According to one Calgary-based company, this isn't a crazy thought. In fact, if the right funding is received from the feds and the province, we could have vaccines developed right here in Alberta. Brad Stevens is the president and CEO of Northern RNA. He joins me via Zoom from Calgary. Brad, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Jeanette. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time.
Of course. Now, many Albertans may not realize some of the industries that call Alberta home. Can you describe for our viewers what Northern RNA does?
Sure. We are a relatively newly established CDMO, that stands for Contract Development and Manufacturing Organization. And so basically what we do is we work with other companies by way of contract as part of the name. We try and what we do work with other companies to develop raw materials that they might need, help them in the design of some of their products. Then we enter into manufacturing contracts and then provide them the raw products, raw materials that will go into vaccines or whatever they might be using the materials for.
Okay, well, you mentioned the magic word there because many Albertans are anxious for their opportunity to acquire a vaccine. So can you tell us about the role your company can take to actually make this a reality?
Sure. So right now, on our early phase one production, we are focused on the development of two raw materials. One are called cap analog, and the other one's called plasmid DNA. And cap analog is really kind of one of the essential elements to make messenger RNA. You've heard that's the new buzzword in the world today.
Exactly.
Is messenger RNA. Yeah, it is. It's new technology. It's disruptive technology, I believe. And it's the basis of a couple of the most well-known vaccines. But we also think that it will be the basis of lots of other applications in the future once the pandemic is gone. And so we make some of the essential raw materials that will go into these vaccines or whatever they might be used for in the future. And so we're working with, as I said, vaccine and other developers, providing these raw materials as essential elements in the production of vaccines and other materials.
Okay, that's amazing. So what kind of funding would you need for this to happen? Are you getting any attention from the feds or from the provincial government?
So we've been fortunate. Early on, we did receive a small grant from the federal government, a 50% spending grant from an organization associated with the federal government called Next Generation Manufacturing, or NGen. And we received a $1.6 million grant. That's, I guess I said, it's 50%. So if we spent $3.2 million, which we are getting pretty close to, we can receive $1.6 million in return for eligible expenses. And that's equipment, some salaries, those kinds of things. And so we've been very grateful for that effort, but it's time to expand already. And so we've been working as part of the provincial government process, working on our expansion plans to move into what we refer to as the next level, or a GMP, good manufacturing practice manufacturing, rather than just the current labs that we have.
So Brad, it sounds like the governments are somewhat on board with what you're doing then. Has Health Canada had any involvement as well? Have they looked at this, or do you need approval from them?
So we do in a small way. When we get into the GMP facility, it will actually be manufactured off-site, receive approvals, and then it'll be brought here and manufactured here on site. We have contracted with a company out of Quebec to deliver our site. And so Health Canada will weigh in at that point in time. As far as the raw materials and whatnot, we provide the raw materials to the company. They integrate it into a vaccine or whatever they're working on. That's when Health Canada weighs in with respect to the materials and products that we provide.
Okay, interesting. Now, as of early this week, the province reported that 1.6 million doses of the vaccine had been administered, and out of those, 303,000 Albertans have been fully vaccinated with 2 doses. That doesn't really sound like a lot, but we're getting there slowly but surely. So, Brad, if a portion of those doses had been manufactured right here in Alberta, what might that number look like today? How many more people could have been vaccinated by now?
Yeah, that's really hard to say. We began the discussions with the federal government and some of our partners, early on in the pandemic. But part of the process is that these companies have to go through research and development. They've got to go through, several stages of trials. And so it really kind of depends on how quickly those trials could have been accomplished to see how big a difference it could have been made. So I hesitate to give you an exact number. I think it would have been more. I think it would have been considerably more and a little bit and quite a bit quicker, but I hesitate to give you an exact number. It really kind of depends on the research and development process.
Right, of course. So if it had happened, what could this have done for our economy? Anything?
Well, generally, of course, as the quicker people are vaccinated, and the quicker we get as many people vaccinated, then the quicker we will be able to, use the terms open up and get things back to normal. And so there's a direct equation there between getting doses, getting people vaccinated, getting the vaccines in the arms, and having things return to normal. That's absolutely that actually is absolutely critical for our return.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point there. So how many jobs could potentially come out of something like this for Albertans?
Just in the facility that we're talking about, we've ramped up to 10 with another 3 hiring people being hired in the next couple of weeks. With our GMP facility, we think that with some support and help, we can probably triple or quadruple that number. And that's just in a company like ours. In the life science industry throughout the province, with some expansion and some investment, a considerable number of jobs that can be created for sure.
Okay, that's excellent. Can you briefly describe how long the concept of the mRNA vaccine has been around? Like you said, that's kind of that buzzword happening right now.
Yeah, I'm not really the science side of it. I know that, messenger RNA is relatively new on the scenes, maybe 20 years ago or so, but that sounds like a long time ago, but in the grand scheme of things,
Right.
Obviously, once the pandemic got started and there was funding made available, then the use of messenger RNA in the vaccines really picked up the pace last year. And I'm not the first to say it. Call it a miracle, call it whatever you want. There's just been some incredible speed in being able to deliver this new technology in a vaccine.
So, Brad, we recently had Andrew McIsaac of Applied Pharmaceutical Innovation on our show. Can you describe the relationship between the two organizations?
Sure. So, as I said, we're a relatively new CDMO, and as we got started and started to introduce ourselves to not only Andrew's company, but other companies in the life science area and pharmaceutical area in Alberta, I've had some really great conversations with Andrew and his team. They in some ways, they act as a little bit of an information hub. They know a lot about what's going on, and Andrew's been great for us in transmitting information and us being allowed to convey information to him as well. Technically speaking, as I understand my discussions with him, is that his company really provides a service at the back end of a vaccine or at the back end of the process, where whatever material ultimately gets in the bottle and gets in the packaging, that's kind of referred to as fill finish. That's kind of their expertise, and they're looking to expand that expertise. And we're really looking forward, with our partners, to working with them. You really begin to see how you can get the whole value chain or the supply chain right within the borders of Alberta itself. And that's what we're trying to work towards, where we're involved in a little bit more of the upfront, the manufacturing. And so that if we can get that full supply chain in Alberta, we won't be caught off guard again.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how soon could all this happen if all goes well?
So our expansion plans are very aggressive. Working with this company out of Quebec, we were able to, if we acted quickly, we were actually able to get into their supply chain. And so we acted upon it. Otherwise, we were going to have to wait a couple of years. So we're hopeful and expecting that, our facility will expand here late in Q2, early Q3, and then cross our fingers, late Q4. We hope to be developing and manufacturing a product late this year.
If this were to go through, do you feel that it would still be on time, or do you feel that maybe by then it's too late because everyone would have been vaccinated already?
Yeah, great question. That's the one we always get. It's never too late. There's going to be booster shots. I think that all of the leading companies have come out and indicated that there's going to be booster shots. Nobody knows for sure how long or what form that's going to take. Not only in Alberta, but Canada and the world. There's billions of people that need to have access to what we're talking about here. And so, no, I don't believe it's too late at all.
Have you received inquiries from other countries to manufacture vaccines for their citizens?
Oh, for sure. When they see the capacity that we're building very quickly, you got to realize, Jeanette, that we took the keys to our new facility here in January 4th. We've done a complete overhaul of the facility remarkably in about 90 days to get us up and producing. And so originally we weren't going to expand until next year, but the demand has been so big from other countries, other companies, that we took our phase 2 and moved it in to this year. And so, yes, there has been lots of interest expressed by other companies from all around the world.
That's great. Any final thoughts on what you wish to share with our viewers about your company?
No, we're just really excited to be a local Alberta company here in Calgary. We believe that this is the place. That we've got the know-how, we've got the desire here in Alberta to be able to build this industry here, and we're excited to be part of it. We think that we're going to be able to do some really remarkable things in the months ahead, and we're looking forward to being a part of this industry in Alberta.
Well, we will look forward to hearing more about how all of this is going to develop, and we wish you all the best. So thanks so much for your time today, Brad.
Thanks, Jeanette. Thanks for your time.
Well, today we're going to do a little bit of bragging about the beauty of southern Alberta. One of our jewels is, of course, Waterton Lakes National Park. And joining us to chat about it is Shamir Suleiman. He is the Vice President of the Waterton Park Chamber of Commerce. He's also the owner of the lovely Bayshore Inn, which is nestled right along Waterton Lake. Welcome to Bridge City News. Shamir, so great to have you here with us today.
Great to be here.
Okay, so for any viewers who have never visited Waterton Lakes National Park, why don't you take a minute, please, and tell them why they should visit this beautiful place?
You know, it's been an interesting summer, especially last year, with so many people from all over this province not realizing that Waterton first was in Alberta. Second, seeing the picture so many times and thinking it was Banff, and then so many Albertans finally saying, you know what? Let's go there. And so we had so many new people that had never been. It was amazing. It was really cool to see so many Canadians that had never been there.
It's amazing that you say that there's Albertans that didn't realize it was part of Alberta too.
Oh, all the time. Anytime I tell anybody in Calgary or Edmonton where I am in Waterton, they'll always give me a second look like, I think I've heard of that. Is that in Alberta? I'm thinking, yeah, it's your province. You have to know that.
Oh, that is unbelievable, because a lot of people like it better than Banff. I know, like, one of the comments that I often hear, one of the comments I often hear is that visitors are surprised how cozy and not crazy busy Waterton is, of course, compared to so many other parks where it's so crowded.
Yeah, I think the big thing that people don't realize is in Waterton, there is only 350 hotel rooms. Whereas in Banff, one hotel has 350 hotel rooms. There's only so many campgrounds, not that many. So there's only so many accommodations to stay. So it only gets so packed. We're not on a major highway. We're off the beaten path. So if you're going to Waterton, you're going to Waterton. So it never really packs up. And the town site's so small and it's spread out so nicely that I think you have the feeling of space.
Okay, that is a really good point too, because it is kind of nestled down there off of major highways and stuff. So what are some of the comments that you've heard from visitors over the years?
For us, it's usually surprise. It's usually, oh my God, this is beautiful. They see the pictures, but when you see it live, that valley view, the Prince of Wales Hotel, walking along the beach, the hikes, you almost feel like you're a little bit back in time, a little bit, because you feel like it's the Banff of 40 years ago, where it's all family owned and operated businesses. So your small town ice cream shops, everybody knows everybody. It's all owner operated. So, you walk into Pat's, you're meeting the owner. You walk into my hotel, you're meeting me. You're walking into all the other restaurants. It's their family recipes for generations that have been there. So it's a different feel.
Yeah, it totally is. Now, there was a lot of construction last year with the building of the new visitor center, right? So when is that going to be completed, and what kinds of benefits will tourists see with this new facility?
So we're really excited about the visitor center. It looks gorgeous. It is, I'm going to say 95% complete. I spoke to Parks Canada this morning. They are pumping the brakes a little bit because of all the COVID restrictions. So they hope to have it open by September, but maybe earlier. But to see it, it's 95% complete. So it's great.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I'm excited about that. You mentioned COVID restrictions. So, with those restrictions, you probably didn't have a lot of American or international visitors to the park last year. And that might be the case this year as well. I guess time will tell, right? So, how has traffic been and where are people traveling from?
We thought last year we were really scared. We were hoping if we got 50% occupancy, we were happy. We ran sold out all year, and this year looks to be pretty much the same. So for us, I think there's still so many Albertans that have never been to Waterton.
Right.
So I think we're going to get a big wave of Albertans, and then I think we get a lot of people from BC, Saskatchewan, and the rest of Canada. So I don't foresee it being any slower this year.
Okay, interesting. Now, last season, a large portion of the town site campground was not open to the public, also because of construction. So, is that now open for campers?
Yay, it's all complete. It looks beautiful. It's right on the lake. Get a spot if you can. They've completed the entire campground. It's beautiful. And it's open. The only thing that's not ready is the Crandall campground, which was up the Red Rock Parkway. That won't be ready, I think, until 2023, hopefully earlier, but maybe 2023 is what they're promising us. They started construction now, but that's a smaller campground. But the campgrounds outside the park have also expanded because it was so busy last year. So that should be some more space as well.
Okay, interesting. Now, you mentioned, of course, the Crandall campground, and that's up on the Red Rock Canyon Parkway. Now, that one was under construction because of that huge wildfire that happened a few years back, right? That
Yeah,
was back 2017, was it?
the 2017 Kenau wildfire. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know because of that wildfire, the Red Rock Canyon Parkway and also the Acamina Parkway, they were closed to vehicle traffic for a few seasons there. But I think good news, right? Those actually opened up more recently,
Yes.
right?
Oh, I'm so excited. It's been since 2017, 4 years. And now we have the Red Rock Canyon Parkway open, as well as the Acamina Parkway up to Cameron Lake open. And finally, guys have been out of business for 4 years. They get to start up. So I'm excited to see them and visit them and rent their paddleboards and paddle boats.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen Cameron Lake. And of course, Red Rock Canyon is so beautiful. And you got the waterfalls up there and just great hiking. So that is really exciting. Are there any kinds of special events or activities that we should mark on our calendars that the town has planned for the spring and summer this year?
So unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, we had to cancel the food festival. We had to cancel the wildflower festival. The Pat's Show and Shine Car Show, we're hoping that will still be a go. That's the last Sunday of August. And then if all goes well, and I'm very optimistic that the Wildlife Festival in September will be a go, and that's the second weekend of September, if it's a go.
Okay, exciting. Now, getting back to hiking, are most of those hiking trails open once again? I know some of them were closed because of those
They
fires,
are.
right?
Yeah, finally the Acamina Parkway is open. Carthew Alderson is open. I think we're back up to 90% of the hikes are open. Tamarack shuttles up to Cameron Lake, so you can hike back down. Those are going again. The guided hikes are going again. So I'm actually so excited about this summer. There's so much. Waterton's almost back to 100%, which is exciting for me.
Yeah, I know you have some amazing hikes. I believe Crypt Lake has been ranked as one of the top hikes in North America or Canada at least, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
North America, and it's a great hike. Great hike.
It's by far my favorite. I think I've done it 3 times now. So speaking of that, you have to get across the lake on a boat. Are those cruises running this year?
So shoreline cruises aren't running yet. They will be running in the coming weeks. I don't know, but they won't be running this weekend. I think next weekend, hopefully, they should have their boats back in the water, and the marina should be open, and they'll shuttle you across over to Cameron Lake. Over to Crypt Lake landing.
So for sure by June, anyways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, excellent. Now, the well-known Waterton landmark, the Kilmorey Lodge, which burned down in 2009, has been under reconstruction, right? So is that going to be open
Yeah.
this summer?
So that's been a slow go, and it was supposed to open. I spoke to the owners this morning, and unfortunately, due to again delays, because right now, because of the pandemic, because of everything that's happening, they're having trouble getting supplies in. So they won't be open till September is what they're hoping for, but maybe sooner. It really just depends on when everything arrives. But it's built, it's up, it looks great. They're just working on the inside right now.
Okay, great. What kinds of recreational activities are there in Waterton besides, of course, the obvious hiking, fishing, boating?
Um, people always say that to me, especially when I go to trade shows. They're always saying, what is there to do there? Waterton has so much to do. For starters, the golf course was taken over by Lakeland Management, which is exciting. They own a bunch of golf courses. They've taken over ours, and they plan to make big improvements. So the golf course is always fantastic. Stanley Thompson golf course. Horseback riding, they're back in their stables now. We built them brand new stables, or I shouldn't say we, Parks Canada did. And beautiful stables. So that's up and running. That's always great to do. And in town, there's paddleboarding in Emerald Bay, canoeing with glass bottom canoes. Those are really fun to do. And we have a big e-bike program now. So Pat's and Blackiston Rentals, they rent e-bikes that you can take up to Cameron Lake and up to Red Rock Canyon. So those are amazing things to do. And of course, for the kids, the splash park is open right in the center of the village. They built a brand new splash park last year. So that's amazing. And rumor has it there's a roller rink coming in.
Oh, wow.
Where the theater was, but I don't know if that's going to happen. They're thinking about it. Everyone has to try that. That's another amazing experience that came in a few years ago. So that's been great. And then of course all the other staples, all the biking and of course all the hiking and shoreline cruises and all the usual fun stuff there is to do in Waterton.
Yeah, of course. So what kinds of facilities are available for those of us, for anybody who can't maybe stay the night but just want to enjoy the park for the day?
The good thing is Parks Canada has set up picnic tables all over now. So, of course, all the dining you can still enjoy. So many people showed up with just blankets and packed the beaches. And one thing I would love to say, and if you can get this message out, we want everyone to come, but clean up after yourselves. Last year we had a big garbage issue. I think a lot of people aren't used to national parks. We want to remind everyone that anything you bring in for trash, you got to take out for trash. We're a jewel, and it's all for all Canadians, and want everyone to really enjoy it.
Oh gosh, great advice. Absolutely. Keep our parks clean. Now, for those who do want to stay the night or for a week or two, how far in advance would a person have to book ahead for a hotel or a motel or even a campground spot?
Right away. Right away. I think everyone is probably hovering around 70-80% by now, I'm assuming. So if you want for sure weekends or even during the week, I mean, it's summer, every day is a weekend. So book as soon as possible. Get it booked, get it in. It's something you need to see. It's in your province and it's amazing.
Right. And I think the campgrounds are booked through Parks Canada website.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They're booked through the Parks Canada website.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. Now, I know your hotel, Shamir, the Bayshore Inn, has some really nice dining. Are there any other special spots that you like to promote as part of the good eating in the town of Waterton? I know there's a lot of good eats there, aren't there?
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that Waterton is definitely known for. The Lakeside Shop Bus is our restaurant. It's right on the waterfront. A place for me is always the Thirsty Bear. For those of you local in Southern Alberta, everybody knows about it now. It's been fully renovated. Amazing food. You have to try Trappers Barbecue. It's right on Main Street. Zum's. I love their fried chicken. Julie's Taco Bar. That's been a staple for the last few years. It's amazing as well. But really, give it a chance and try it all. If you can, it's great. There's a new pop shop that opened in Waterton too. That's great as well.
That's awesome. I like Wieners of Waterton too with the big smokies. Those are awesome. Those gourmet
They're
hot
always
dogs.
good. Oh yeah, you gotta have a Wieners of Waterton while you're in town as well.
That's awesome. Now, any final thoughts to share with our viewers on what Waterton has to offer, as if we haven't, bragged enough about it?
Covered it all already. For me, I see Waterton a little different. Waterton to me is this slice of heaven. It's this place that when you look at it, and there's very few places in this world that you look at the mountains, you look at the lakes, you look at the sky, you look at how pristine it is, the animals around, and you really realize God's creation and God's land. It's something you got to see, and it's in our backyard. We're so lucky to have it. Everyone needs to enjoy it because it belongs to all of us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much for being with us, Shamir. It's been awesome to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Shamir Suleiman is the Vice President of the Waterton Park Chamber of Commerce and owner of Bay Shore Inn in Waterton. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.